Like a what file? All right, we're live. Now I don't know how to look at the. Okay, there we go. I have the chat going on my phone in case anyone stops in to watch. He did say that. Yeah. Yeah. Finally someone's taken me down a peg, you know? Hmm. Do you watch them? Oh. Ah. Hold on. The screen is going to get shaky for a bit because I have it in a. Hmm, well, what? Okay. Are you guys using OBS? Hmm. Fuck. It's a streaming software. Hmm. I don't know why it's not recording your guys' voice. It's only getting mine. Yeah. Let's see if chat knows. Sorry, everybody. How would I do that? Hmm. They're saying I need to add my sound card as a advanced audio properties. Uh, fuck, man. I don't know computers. Need to add my internal sound card as an audio source. Uh, they said, yeah, everybody be patient. Uh, audio input capture.
I think Tristan is too classy for like the average response video. Like your stuff is like it's you know what I'm saying? Like it's like today. It's like somebody doing a reply to today. I found out. Like it's just
Yeah,
it's too academic. It's not.
I'm not like a.
I don't know. Like I've had.
I brought this up with Thought Slime when we got like shit faced one night, and I was like, I ride this kind of weird borderline between like the online political fighting scrum and like a PBS channel.
Wait,
Yeah, but
that
yeah, that's what it
that
is. It's
seems
it.
the chat
I'm
is rejoicing. They can
yeah,
hear
I'm
us.
the world's greatest genius, and I
Yeah.
figured it out.
You're a brain genius.
Yeah, I use
Oh
my
yeah,
incredible
okay.
deductive powers and reasoning to figure it out.
So
I actually.
the topic so far is that we're all jealous of Thought Slime for being responded to all the time by
It's
specimens.
well, I'm the biggest doofus, so they know that I'm. You know, it's like sharks. They'll go for like not shark tigers will go for the easiest prey. You know, they can't.
Oh, I mean, you haven't been clipped by Bering yet, have you?
Not yet. No, I can't wait.
Bering is the ne plus ultra of being bullied online. He's a fucker. The first one that to me it was like 150,000 views, and he just called me cunt for 30 minutes. I think he got Ron one time too.
Yes, yes, he did.
But like,
And-
I think like in relation to how many like followers you have on YouTube, I think you get the most response.
Yeah, because they don't want to pick on somebody who has a viewer base of their own.
Speak for yourself. They sure did want to do that to me.
I guess I'm just jealous because I've never gotten my own response video. Okay, I haven't gotten response videos from anybody that wasn't like two 13-year-olds giving like copy and paste conservative rebuttals to everything I said in my fascism video, but like over and over again as they responded to every sentence of my video.
There's two rites of passage as a leftist content creator. One is get drawn by Scutch, and two is
Done.
Two is get a response video from a cartoon animal in a tuxedo.
Boy,
I haven't. Yeah, I need to get that. I need to get. I haven't gotten the response. I got the Scutch drawing down. I just need to get the other one.
In fairness, you know, the reason that Bering decided to go after me is because I told him that he was the worst person on YouTube.
Well, I am putting a tiny picture of Sargon and Black Pigeon Speaks in my list of people who are modern day perpetuating scientific racism in my video coming out next week. So who knows?
Well, sometimes it's like gang shit because they usually come at you if they see you're triangulated with somebody
The
they've already
stream just
used
went
as a
offline.
lolcow.
yeah, the stream went offline.
Oh no!
Why?
Dad's downstairs.
It's dropping
playing-
frames or
playing
something.
the
I
friggin-
choose to blame Jimmy Carter for this.
I have a very musical family.
Looks like it's online for me.
Is your OBS saying that you're dropping frames?
No.
I'm not sure. My app doesn't say live.
It says encoding
I'm not sure if
overloaded.
it's-
Yeah, that means you're gonna have to probably lower the quality or something because it means that it's if you're using a Wi-Fi connection and they just all happen to be about class and class warfare and
I'm not going to be able to show
What?
off my notes. That disappoints me.
anti-nationalism.
That's what they hate about us is like you could portray a leftist narrative without even doing anything political, just being historically accurate. That's what fucks them up. That's why they need sophists. Is
true.
because if you're just historically accurate, like left is I don't know if Chomsky said it, but left is like just reality, and like right wing is like constructed stuff.
Looks like the stream is back
Okay.
Stream is back.
now that we're all
Yeah.
strangers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll explain what's going on, guys. We're gonna have to do audio only because I fucked everything up and I don't know how to use the internet. So it's just gonna be our beautiful avatars.
Because I'm the only one with a copy of the book. I was gonna like hold it up to the screen.
I have a copy of the book.
Well, yours is misprinted wrong.
Yeah, I don't have a copy of the book, and also I was trying to think of some like joke to make about not reading it, but I did read it.
Audio only. We're a podcast now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we're kind of as a podcast now. You throw us on SoundCloud, get some extra revenue.
Yeah. Podcasts are famously revenue rich.
SoundCloud.
Compared to YouTube, they actually are.
Well,
The
That's
Yeah.
kind of why we're like, getting like peak podcasts right now, and everybody's starting one because, well, I don't want to get into like internet business because we're literally doing the opposite of business right now.
yeah. We're here to talk about Peter Coffin's Custom Reality and You in stores everywhere, but probably you have to get it on Amazon because it's probably not in
yeah.
stores everywhere.
you have to buy it or else you're not a real coffin head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all true fans,
Yes, true fan.
You bought the
Cannon,
paperback?
coffin cannon pedants.
Oh man, you haven't
You
lived
can't
unless
see
you.
it,
What's
but
it
my
called?
physical copy of my book is filled with notes. Just all kinds of just tabs and
You haven't
Yeah.
lived unless you've read you've seen the Peter Coffin videos that he privated when he decided to not be a comedian anymore.
Yeah, that was the best thing about this book. I got to find out why he has 200,000 completely empty subscribers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
I
But
did.
but you know what? It's also a thing that I think he wants to not be well known for.
Well, I mean, it's in the book. If we're going to talk about the
Yeah, that's true.
book, yeah.
I want to see the annoying orange episode with him in it.
That's true.
Have
That's
you ever-
actually if we're gonna dig into the book in one thing, this is the one. This is okay. I think Peter's watching, so this is the closest thing to an actual criticism of the book, and that is it's very much written for the Peter Coffin fan because there's a few things in this book where if you don't know the ins and outs of YouTube political scrums, you might be a little confused. I was reading this and I was thinking he has a little bit in the introduction about rationals and skeptics, and there's not skeptics as in reactionaries who make videos on the internet, and I was the whole skeptic TM thing is very much a very online type of insider baseball thing. And I was if I just gave this to a rando, they would be a little confused by some of these references.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say,
talking about cartoon animals in tuxedos. It has a line in there about that, and then in the very next chapter.
Yeah.
I do think it is there's a little bit of initiation required, but I think it's a wonderful package of just his ideas, in a very condensed form.
So should we go around and start with everyone's first impressions or their overall thoughts?
Well, I was thinking also we should probably introduce ourselves and see what our channels
that would
are.
be good too.
Yeah, we should introduce ourselves to Thought Slime's audience.
Yeah.
Hey, Thought Slime's audience.
Hello. Who first?
Eric, you go first. We'll go in the order that you're on the screen. Unless that's different for everybody. I don't know.
Eric Taxxon is a living centipede that has jelly eyes and has an insatiable hunger and is infested by a brain parasite.
Yes, yes, this is all true.
Sorry. To Arcana reference now? I don't know.
No, it's not. Everyone knows Animorphs, and if they don't, then I don't want to live on this planet.
I don't know Animorphs.
Did you
I thought
guys?
that was a reference to Lovecraft.
My name is a reference to Animorphs. It's a 90s young adult series of books. They're dated to high hell, but I love them.
Do you know what's the best part about Animorphs? It's the picture in between, on the cover where they're turning from child to animal. If you look at it shows a series of pictures that show them going from one to the other, and the one in the middle is always horrifying. They always look like they're in terrible pain.
And
that makes the meme, yeah.
Of course, the books, they actually go to great lengths to describe that the morphing process is not
body
at all
horror sequence.
Yeah, it is very body horror when you actually read the book.
As your skin ripples and splits off into feathers, and it's oh jeez. Oh.
Yes, and different parts of it happen at different rates, and it's horrifying. But yeah, I'm Eric Taxxon. I accidentally got a lot of subscribers recently, so you might know me. I make videos mostly about art and music, and looking at leftist topics from an artistic direction.
Yeah,
and that's it. I also make a lot of music on the Bandcamp. That was my first hobby.
Ooh! Why don't you tell us about some of the videos that your music has been featured in?
Tom Avella used one of my songs in a in a Q&A. Oh yeah, and H Bomber Guy, his thing, his newest video it features original music from me. That was me. That was very fun.
It was good. It really stuck out. That was like his most Lynch-esque video to date, and like the music really sealed the deal.
Yes, and I want video essayists hiring composers to be more of a trend.
Well, when my video essaying comes down to me not choosing between whether I want to pay for music or whether I would like eating this month, then we'll talk.
Okay.
Somebody else want to introduce themselves?
Ron, you're next, right?
No, mine shows as the very last in line. Am I next?
Okay. You might as well go next.
Okay. I'm Ron. On YouTube, I go by the Rugged Midwesterner, which I have learned is very difficult to pronounce, and I apologize. I actually haven't made any videos in a while. I think the last video that I put up was a recording of an event that I went to, but I'm constantly writing scripts, and I'm involved in a lot of like political stuff in Springfield, so that's cool. I plan on making more videos eventually, as soon as I get around to finishing one script. Just one.
Just one.
Would suffice.
Yeah, that's a good place to start. So next, it looks like Tristan is next. I'm looking at the screen of the stream, and
oh no! In the very theme of the book is like the list of all the pictures, all individual for each of us. Oh boy. All right. My name's Tristan. I'm the occasional face and the cartoon voice of a history channel called Step Back History, which has been kind of declining over the years into like just full out Marxist propaganda over time. So started off very innocent as just like, oh, I'm going to be a PBS, I'm going to get my PBS show. Then they gave PBS to someone else, and so I'm just the PBS history show is someone else's now. So now it's just full on anger. No, I can't. I'm hard at anger. I do history at Step Back History.
Bronx, you're up.
I am the Bronx Blogger. If you've seen somebody call a Nazi a cunt in the last 6 months on one of these blood sport shows, it was probably me. I am Antifa and a narco-communist, and I'm thankful to be here.
Wait a minute. Soldier. You're this Antifa I keep hearing about? You're the one who made all the Nazis, apparently, according to all the rationals? Well, thanks a lot, bud.
There are a few of us out here.
It's funny because I've actually been involved in a couple of actions and events, not just here, but around the state, that have been either involved anti-fascist protesters or been initially set up by anti-fascist protesters. And these are perfectly nice people. No violence here, except up in Chicago.
Vox did a great video about how the Antifa violence thing is a myth. If anyone ever looks like Ron represent like the numbers, Vox has like don't believe the Antifa myth. It's like a bunch of horse shit. Like it's a handful of little incidences blown out of proportion, and like especially in the States. In Europe, it's a little different. It's a little more like
so many videos.
And to understand, most of the violence actually, like before Charlottesville at least, most of the violence was happening in Berkeley, which has a very strong fascist presence. So, like, that necessitates.
Thought Slime is next.
Hi, I'm Thought Slime. This is me. You can probably see my face and my face alone, because so I'm the one whose mouth is moving with the creepy cat pillow. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing on the internet, and I make little boner cartoons sometimes, but I haven't done enough of those lately, and everybody's mad at me. So
I know the feeling. I did the same thing, if you remember.
So we're here to talk about Peter Coffin's book, Custom Reality and You. It's his first book. He's a YouTuber, much like us, although I think it's fair to say more successful.
I have the book here.
Eric has the book. This is what it sounds like.
I can't do that because my copy is filled with just notes, post-it notes, dozens of
book
post-it notes.
ASMR.
This is my first time like actually reading political writings, actually, because I'm not a reader. I joined this little book club to give me a reason to like read anything, because like it's a character flaw that I'm terrible at reading. And this book, I want to say, it is such an easy read. I blew through it. It is very easy to swallow.
I read the bulk of it in like 2 days. Hey, Radiant's back.
Hi. Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what was wrong with it. It's just like everybody doing video at the same time. It was like, nope.
Yeah, we had the same problem. Sonia is in the chat, and she's asking why we didn't use open air, and it's because I'm a big dummy, is why. So, Radiant, if you want to introduce yourself, everybody else has kind of went around and introduced themselves.
Oh, okay. Hi, my username is Radiant2Pi on the YouTubes.com, and honestly, I don't exactly know what I'm doing with my channel. My main project is the Marxian economics series, which I go over the economics sort of concepts, but like beyond that, I don't know what I'm doing. The other videos, I don't know what I'm doing. That sums up my YouTube channel situation right now.
No one knows
I'd say.
what they're doing. That's
Nobody does.
That's the culture.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah,
I just make videos on what I find interesting. So yeah.
I keep forgetting that I'm live, and people are going to know how much I touch my face.
I wasn't looking at that. If it makes you feel any better.
You like how
there are literally people who would make a response to that and just literally clip out, like, he touches his face, and then it'll be 30 minutes long.
Okay, actually,
he's a
like,
face molester.
Soy boy touches his face.
That's a joke.
Yeah.
I know that's a joke, but Baring's response to the ContraPoint / roaming millennial conversation is just clipping every single time that ContraPoint said "I think" or "I feel that." And like, oh, obviously, Sidgewidge emotions, like that's real.
Yeah, any picadillo they can. They're like, look, this is obviously a product of social feminization. This man is touching estrogen pockets on his face. They're probably pussing. Like, okay, Baring. Okay, buddy. Hold on. Okay, Baring. Hold on.
It's incredible to me that as much as they try to mock me, they have like deftly avoided all of my insecurities. Like,
I like how they try to out self-deprecate you. Like,
one of them got really mad at me because because my little cartoon guy has on his shirt it says King Cuck, and he got so mad that I was like promoting cuckism.
And one of them said, like, one of them like went into this lengthy like erotica description of like what cuckoldry is, and said, and you openly take pride in this eating, like, and then goes for like 2 minutes.
Now this brings us to an interesting question: is cuckoldry in a cultivated identity in the sense that Peter Coffin uses it in his book?
It seems like everything's a cultivated identity.
I would say no, because it's a fetish. You would need the thing about a cultivated identity. Something that he makes absolutely clear is that you can't have a cultivated identity without something else cultivating that identity. It's cultivated.
They're all in the pocket of big leather.
I mean, like,
so if no one's taking advantage of it, then by definition, no.
Like merch for various fetishes. Like,
if you give me just a second, I can find that exact passage because I have so many notes.
Please
can't
do.
see it.
Please do.
So-
Let's.
The real long-term trick to take down Thoughtsign would be if the right started pumping him up. Started like
Okay,
stocking
give me
him up
1
and talking
second.
about how awesome.
1 second for real this time.
Yeah, sure.
So start talking you up and saying how awesome you are, and then once you finally have a healthy self-esteem, then they go.
Yeah. Yeah, if they could do to me what
I think you
years of therapy have failed, then they could get me, I think.
Years.
you have the thing that Contra and H-Bomb have, that you're already so arch in your presentation that it's like really hard to build satire on top of you. They need earnesty really badly, and like the more earnest you are, or at least like the more, I don't know, passionate, they need to create an aura of self-seriousness, even if it's just through editing.
Yeah, and that was a
I
conscious
do
choice
that
on
all
my
the
part.
time. My editing is dead serious. I'm trying to subvert like the very quick moving style of video essay editing.
I found it.
Okay,
and have
let's.
Okay, so if any of you want to follow along, it's on page 141.
I'm gonna flip to that page right now.
Taking me back to my graduate seminars.
I'm my sincerest apologies. This also might take a while. Gamers, the alt-right, white feminists, anti-vaxxers, militant vegans,
Trademark.
carnitarians, and Star Wars fans are groups who might join and applaud or cringe at the mention of. This is mostly due to these groups' propensity to be exclusive. But what do they all have in common? Is there a shared trait between these seemingly unrelated groups? What exactly are these things? If you're buying what capital is selling, they are identities. What I'm describing is typically referred to as consumer identity and consumer culture, but I would argue the inclusion of the word consumer is too positive sounding. The term sounds as though it's positive, perhaps even recognition of the customer's individuality and culture. That's not what it is. Consumer culture is a carefully curated set of social norms with an agenda. Profit. It's easier to profit, either monetarily or socially, when people identify with a controlled, predictable culture where the only real choice is assimilation. This is why I feel a better term for consumer identity is cultivated identity.
How do you guys feel about that premise? Do you agree, disagree?
I think
I agree.
he makes a pretty strong case for it, yeah.
So it's hard to locating it there's a really great book that everyone should read, and I'm not implying what the title implies, but it's because it's a thing you should give everybody when you first start grad school, and it's How to Talk About Books You Haven't Read. And while I did read this book, there is some interesting stuff in that book about reading around a book and trying to figure out where in the grand library this book fits and what its neighbors are, what intellectual traditions it's coming from, in order to see where it fits into everything. And I think that if I were to say that this book comes out, is that a lot of his ideas are fairly they're old ideas, sort of packaged in a way that is not full of dense continental theory. And so it's an introduction to postmodernism and identity formation theory that but it does it in a way that is done as both a critique of capitalism and at the same time, identity formation theory usually is, but also is designed so that it's not just read by 6 people with way too many letters after their name.
Yeah.
It
Go ahead.
Sorry. It has a like someone mentioned how easy it is to read. He really is like an anti Jordan Peterson, which is Jordan Peterson takes these really he takes the opposite of these ideas and makes it readable for that group that really wants to get off on how intellectual they're being by reading the book. And this kind of reminds me of how Chomsky used to say that you should be plain in political books so that people can read them easily. Like it's the pros are relatable. Like it feels like when you watch a Peter Coffin video where like he takes this complex thing and he presents it to you like if your friend was trying to educate you about like a complex thing.
Oh yeah, if you want to do another thing to talk about this book is that if you are a Peter Coffin viewer, this book is pretty much the core theory behind that he like touches on in several different ways in all of his different videos. So if you want like the one thing that all these videos are getting at, it's outlined in this book.
Yeah, there are a couple of passages and stuff that I noted that were copy pasted into his videos.
Did you guys hear
especially
his
the consumer culture?
From my perspective, it almost felt like the videos were like the rough draft, and this is the final version. That's what I felt.
Did you guys hear his voice in your head
compendium.
while you were reading?
Yes.
No, not really. Actually, it didn't really sound like anyone. But I don't really imagine someone reading in my head as I read.
No, do we have?
I don't.
Sometimes.
I don't imagine people's voices unless like it's written in a dialect, and in which case they're making me imagine it.
Yeah,
literary voice blindness.
It did feel very much like just watching a Peter Coffin video. I have to say, like you could almost picture in your head like how he would deliver it.
I haven't actually seen all of his videos. I've seen the most recent ones. Like the last 4 most recent episodes of very important documentaries. I think he's very, very good at taking like kind of difficult to talk about subjects that are like slightly dismal and making them into something very easily digestible. And it feels like he does give like solutions. Like there is something good to be gained out of this many existential crises.
Yeah. I mean, like, the thing is, like, we live in this time where this is, like, my main, like, well, I have a lot of bones to pick with the left, but one of the major ones I do have to pick is that there's this intellectual upmanship that happens a lot. And I say man in a very intentional fashion, where everyone tries to lord over how many very dense... Like, you get more points the longer it is, the more poorly translated it is, and the more, the deeper into Eastern Europe the name goes. And there are people who have read a lot because they either, are non-neurodivergent people who can do all sorts of, who can devour a book in a few days or whatever. And they use it to lord over a lot of other people. If you've just read the books I would know, you would understand what's going on. And
which is interesting because
I've had that happen to me too. The best solution I've found to those people is to ask them to explain the book in 2 sentences. My general experience, I say that for a specific reason. My general experience is if you can't summarize an entire book, regardless of the length or the subject matter, in 2 sentences, then you didn't absorb the book well enough.
That's there's a quote. Was it one of the guys, one of the scientists? Was it Freeman, who worked on the atomic bomb?
So now, like, I
There's
do
a lot of
have,
who
I
worked
do-
on the atomic bomb.
I
Yeah,
do
but-
have to say something now that
From
you said that.
Oppenheimer?
And we all describe custom reality on you in 2 sentences.
I can describe it in 1 sentence.
I got it. Like,
Yeah.
we all make our own realities, and this is a good thing, except capitalism.
I would also go so far as to say that the idea of objective truth is manipulated and managed by people that want to profit from it. Would be... Oh no, there's a lot of silence.
Yeah.
I got it wrong. Oh no.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
not
like,
what I would say. That's part of it, but
That's
Like, if
part
I
of
had
it.
to sum it up in just one or two sentences, I would say the conflux of capitalist society and very strong individualistic tendencies in our society has created a consumer culture so what's the word? So all-encompassing that people are now living in their own custom realities.
Mm.
People
guess,
like. Go ahead.
Okay, so when I was, I went after I finished the book and I like sat on it for a bit. I realized that because like a lot of the chapter names are like names of videos, very important documentaries. I like quickly like scanned through it and tried to like get a sense of it as a whole. I think that what he's doing mainly is there's three possible ways you could potentially understand reality. You either pretend that objective reality exists, and he goes into why it doesn't at the beginning. There's custom reality, and then there's collective reality. And he's arguing to try to go to quote unquote collective.
Specifically an evidence-based reality.
Yeah, a specific. He's the different kinds of those, and one of those that's good is the evidence-based ones. Yes.
And all the reasons that it's not working is the profit motive.
You know what this sounds like, now that you guys like summarize it in such a fashion? This sounds very much like the arguments that Noam Chomsky used when he was battling with Michel Foucault in that debate that is like everywhere on the internet. Because it's basically, it does, the way that, because like I always thought it as like, oh, it's like postmodern and like trying to get rid of the constant skepticism and doubt and trying to build something up that's real, but it does sound like kind of like a left-wing modernist critique of postmodern critique. That, oh my goodness, that's too many words with way too many syllables.
That's an interesting point.
I think that summary was perfect. I think Radian, thank you for that. It sums up the journey of the book, like the journey of the ideas, and it really, again, this thing of like it controverts Peterson, but in the way that it needs to, which is like Peterson looks at an atomized world and says, he stops at like, we gotta rely on what we've all agreed is objective reality and stuff like that. And like when people talk about Peterson being so appealing to like these people who are like very sort of disaffected, is that he does what Peter does here, which is like he actually, at the end of all of his analysis, he actually has some kind of an action item. And the fact that Peter actually says, no, we can't stop at postmodernism. We can't just stop at the 300-page sniffling critiques of Hegel. We need to actually, unite these ideas in a productive way. You know what I mean? It's just the fact that it actually goes from talking about atomization to actually what happens when you break out of the cocoon.
Yeah. Although I think he fits into it, and this is another critique of the book that I made I did a review video, and I'm trying to not say things I said in that video, but I'm sure most people haven't seen it. Not a lot of people did. But
I watched it like 20 minutes before this started.
Oh, interesting. I deliberately didn't watch it because I didn't want to like echo your sentiments and like.
Yeah, but like one of the things that Coffin kind of gets right up to that action item, like we need to do something, and then he openly admits that like I'm not exactly sure what that is yet, but it's definitely a thing.
Peter Coffin's here.
Everybody, stop talking about him. Don't let him know what we were saying.
We can't the author thinks that he was saying.
Let's incite death of the author. Let's pretend Peter Coffin died 100 years ago.
Whoa, guys, don't encourage people to make Peter die. That's not cool.
Oh, jeez.
Peter, I was talking about how easy your book is to read. It's great. I don't actually know how to read, but you managed to get through to me.
Well, and I think that's something we need more of too. Like, I think to the point about, this kind of elitism on the left. I think something that I would feel comfortable recommending this book to people that aren't already like, so far deep in theory that they don't need it. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
going to have my mother read this.
Mm.
yeah, that's the fact that the fact that kind of he can reach normies, as we call them, right? Like the fact that this is accessible
Let's
to
not call them
normies.
normies. That's 4chan speak.
You know,
Let's
like
call them
it's
plebes.
yeah.
That's
the
also
fact that
4chan
it's
speak, but it's better.
Yeah.
Okay.
The fact that it's relatable for plebes is that you know that the thing that the right wing has been doing for so long, like the old political narratives, it used to start on talk radio, and then that went up into cable news, and then saying like it starts on the internet now. I think that's one of the important points that people don't get and can get from this book is that political narratives get seeded on like in chat rooms and stuff, Reddit and all that, and then it scales up into YouTube, and that scales up into talk radio, and that scales up into cable.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's true. Like I was initially
leads to real world. Yeah, sorry.
I was initially put off by like how much of the book was talking about internet culture, but I don't think there's really a way to describe what he's talking about without looking at internet culture and kind of examining these dark reaches of the internet, because I think they are probably right now the best example of like the dangers of cultivated identity and
Yeah,
custom reality.
There's another book that I read a long time ago called Entertaining Ourselves to Death, which vaguely reminded me of custom reality in you, especially in that the author of the book uses a lot of modern references. And I'm not going to say that what you were talking about is a flaw, but because that's the point of the thing. He's trying to reach a certain audience of people. That's a feature, not a bug. But I will say that I'm concerned that it would be alienating to people who would be reading it 5 years from now or 10 years from now. Like I said my mother's going to read this. That's one of the reasons I have so many notes. You can't see it, but this thing is just stuffed with Post-it notes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a book that if I were to if Peter gave this to me and was like, how could I read it over once before I release it, I'd be like, there's a lot of stuff that is very topical to early 2018 and might in 2-3 years be kind of old hat. But then again, that's kind of the way our media moment works. And I'm going to totally dork out because I'm a media historian and a technology historian, or at least I was. And so this book has this discussion about our isolated identities and only kind of getting the things that we want to get is, in my opinion anyway, a product of the technological moment we live in, and that began as far back as probably about the 1970s, 1980s, with the the exponential increase in media channels to enjoy that sort of, not only in a good way, diversified our reality, because now we can have 6 people on the radical left talk to each other, which wasn't a thing you could really do 40 years ago. But on top of that, it does mean that we are we have so many media channels that we just naturally choose the ones that we gravitate towards, and that does put us in a reinforcing this is the whole filter bubble thing. And and we live in a capitalist society that tries to exploit anything like that, and so capitalism's exploiting it. But I do think that if I were to go to next level critique, to take a book that's designed to reach a wide audience and then critique it like it's some sort of 300-page book of continental theory or whatever, it would be that I think that there's a bit of a cart before the horse in that sense, where there's the larger things. And this is my weird techno-Marxist thinking of the technology is the thing that drives society, not the other way around. And so
I think he approached writing it very similarly to I think how he would approach writing a video. And when you're writing a YouTube video, one of the things that you consider is, what's topical, what's happening right now. And it felt to me like there's a few diversions in the book where he talked about The Last Jedi. And
he spends an entire chapter on it.
Yeah. And I could
It's a great
see
chapter.
it is, but
I've already forgotten the Last Jedi drama.
yeah, but you could
haven't
tell that was
actually seen
like
Last
something
Jedi.
he got really excited about, like as it was happening. Like you could tell by like the level of description that he put into what happened at Canto Blight. It's like it just felt to me like he was excited to write about that, which I know that feeling.
And I don't see any problem with this book dating itself, because like I think that if it aimed to not date itself, it would be weakened a bit. I think it is for the now. And
It also feels like it's building towards a bigger book that's going to come in a couple of years. It's
I
going
got
to be
that
a bit
impression
of a
as well.
brand unified theory type thing.
I really think it has a lot of very convincing language in it, and I know like it's hard to say when I already agree with it, but like it put a lot of things into words that made me rethink like how I think about things, and I think it might do the same for like centrists and liberals.
Yeah, I would like to actually, yeah, Peter. I know I sound like I'm being a dick, but I'm just trying to be contrarian so we can make the conversation a bit more spicy. I would actually be interested in hearing what a liberal centrist would get out of reading this book. Like, actually would like to see. I'd like to give it to like, I don't know, who's our like stand-in liberal centrist in our circle. I guess it's Christy Winters. Give it to Christy Winters and see what she thinks of it. I'd be interested to know.
No, I completely lost what I was going to say.
I would love to see Sargon react to this book. That would be fucking amazing. Holy shit!
Well,
The way that he would be like,
but Bronx,
the Peter Coffin is.
Could you not read this book in 5 minutes?
Damn it! I was trying to get there. Son of a bitch.
The way that he would infer malice into the book, the way that he, Sargon always reads to you like when your mom reads you Little Red Riding Hood, and she has to make the wolf part scary, and anything that even like touches any kind of, he's like, they want to come into your house, and they want to put your wife on.
one of the things that I noted. Am I loud enough? I feel like I'm not loud enough.
You're good.
No, you're good.
And so one of the things that I inferred is that there actually is a little bit of malice specifically towards that group of people. Not just in that... Oh, hold on, let me... Yeah.
Kevin
Not
Logan's in the
just
chat.
that he's...
Just thought I'd throw that.
Yeah. There is a little bit of malice towards, like, that kind of people. When he's talking about validation gangs and how they work, he's talking about that group of people. Like, it seems to me like quite explicitly he's talking about the blood sports gang.
I can imagine it now, like reading chapter 2, like he's describing like the mechanics of how he views reality as a concept, and then like he'd turn to the camera and say, and therefore we should kill all the white people. That's what they think.
Yeah, there would be a bunch of condescending giggling for like 4 minutes. He has like 4 diaphragms. I swear to God, like when he like gut laughs, like it's chapter 1. Yeah, it's so British, man. So pompous.
I couldn't help but think. I wanted to. I know that we already kind of touched on this, but the whole time I was reading it, I wanted to hear what Jordan Peterson would say about it. It is such a...
Yeah, because in a just world, this would be like, remember when back in the day Rush Limbaugh would put out a book, and then Franken would put out a book, and those books would be having like a conversation about the polar ends of a discussion. This should be in the same space as Peterson. It's just that the fucking industry is not going to print a book that is this. Yeah, I don't know. They're not going to print a book like this because
it's opposed to their entire worldview, their entire
but
how
is
they
it
do
though?
Things.
Because in the book they talk a lot about how like these systems will expect these kind of someone pointing out what they're doing and monetize that. And I would think that there's been plenty of books that explain, like, the manipulative effects of advertising or basic media literacy that get published.
If you want, like,
you can't. The system can't empower Peter Coffin. He's against the most base. The fact that he's against advertising is more catastrophic than any other left-wing thing. You can talk about universal basic income or any of that stuff. Being against advertising is the most catastrophic thing you can do. The most subversive thing you can say in the current order, especially with like the internet and everything being ad-supported. Yeah, you can't be anti-advertising.
But you can, though, if it drives clicks.
Like,
yeah, you can. What's it called? Be the guy in that episode of Black Mirror. With the shard of glass to his throat.
But okay. you say that Bronx
right now, but
you say that, Bronx, but Peter Coffin is on YouTube, and there are ads on his content. Like, the system can monetize anti-advertising sentiment.
There's ads on adversaries?
Well, yes. I don't know if there's like
his mainstream content is a little different, but I know that he said at one point he was having trouble getting advertising on adversary just because it's so antithetical.
Well, he said
criticizing advertising.
I mean, YouTube's a bit stingy on what they run ads on, like just in general.
But the PragerU was running ads on adversaries. He talked about that in a recent episode.
Mm.
Well, I always use ad block, so I don't actually know.
PragerU running ads on Peter Coffin. That's.
I use YouTube Red, so everything's second. And to trust everybody else when they tell me they see ads.
Oh. I use an ad blocker, so I just
watch the ads.
No, man.
You'll watch the 20-minute PragerU ad?
Well, no.
Oh,
but
man.
I watch on Chromecast, so there's no way to block it. Or maybe there is, but I couldn't figure out how to stream, so I'm not going to figure it out.
I get told that PragerU advertises a lot on my videos, and oh man, that just makes me feel gross.
I love PragerU.
I mean, I can explain very easily why that is. I'm going to say but I don't mean that in the necessarily. A lot of audience that would come to view our videos is the same audience that would watch PragerU videos, because a lot of people who would watch our videos are people who are brought over by shitlords.
Yeah. So I actually want to follow up on that question about what if Jordan Peterson read this book, and I think that there's some really good juice in that, because if conservative Kermit did chew through this book, I think that there'd be. This is why I've always wanted somebody who is left wing but also intellectually competent to interview Jordan Peterson, because no one's done that yet.
ContraPoints.
ContraPoints interviewed Jordan Peterson?
No. She interviewed a mannequin with Jordan Peterson's face on it.
Right.
Well, she poured milk on herself while talking to a mannequin. I don't know if that counts as an interview.
But Jordan Peterson gets so close to hitting on a lot of these same notes, and then they diverge at like the last little bit. Like, it's like, this stuff's all messed up, but then he goes, well, then these hierarchies are sort of these things that are biologically baked into our species, while Peter says this is dumb and we should get rid of it.
They diverge on what the solution is.
Yeah.
I just read 12 Rules for Life. Like, I literally just finished it today. Like, I was planning on making a video. It's really bad.
No, really.
But one thing that I find interesting is that there's a chapter where he's like, basically he thinks that like hierarchies are justified and good and built into us, but also like kids, their brains are clay, and the parents need to mold them correctly. It's like these two contradictory ideas. It's ridiculous.
That sounds about right. I don't have any experience with Jordan Peterson, but I have experience with the fringes of religious movements, which I'm to understand Peterson is a part of, and that sounds about the same as what the crazy Baptists think.
Well, it reminds me of MRAs.
It
reminds me of MRAs where they talk to men specifically about how all the ways that men have been broken by patriarchy, and then their prescription is to restore patriarchy.
Things were, other than the light and the dark.
Okay.
Stand-ins for a lot of things.
Hey guys.
It's a,
Hey,
Yeah, my Wi-Fi crashed.
yay.
How would you
So,
guys?
have that discussion about 12 Rules for Life, but like again?
Is that next month's book? Did we decide that now?
Okay.
I mean, we're talking about like comparisons between Custom Reality and you and Jordan Peterson, and how
Maybe we should do next month for the validation gang. We should read 12 Rules for Life and all hate
God.
ourselves.
I was
Oh God.
no vetoed.
it's like 900 pages or something, isn't it? Like a giant Tolstoy-esque black tar heroin trip.
Oh man.
I'll tell you
How
another
did-
thing.
how
I'm not
is it
paying
that long?
a fucking cent to read that book. Like,
how do you make a self-help book that long? Like, what's in it? Ray?
I listened to the audiobook. I listened to the audiobook of it. So, like,
Is Jordan
here's like
Peterson reading it?
every chapter is he has like a yes. It's
Oh, we should
Starts out every
stream.
chapter with
We should
the
stream the
rule.
audiobook. That'll be good cringe.
no.
Okay. So he
Soviet propaganda
No,
paintings.
it's just a black square, but he got arrested for painting it.
Oh,
How?
Hello.
What?
Hello,
How does
for
that
now.
work?
hey.
I don't know how long I'm going to manage to stay in the call.
Oh boy.
So like.
So we
what
should
are-
probably make
what's-
some concluding thoughts then,
Yeah.
huh?
What's the next book?
Yeah.
Red book.
I had a
Red book.
recommendation.
Oh,
I had
okay.
2 recommendations actually.
All right.
The first one is the book that I compared to Peter Coffin's book, Neil Postman's Amusing Ourselves to Death, Public Discourse in the Age of Show Business, which might not be as much like. It's been like 10 years since I read the book. The other one is The New Jim Crow. That seems like it would be
Ooh.
interesting to read.
That is a
I
good one.
actually,
Read it for prompts.
I actually just bought that book, and I was going to recommend it, but then it occurred to me that I don't really know any African American or African at all content creators, and I thought it would be weird to maybe discuss a book like that without any.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Let's read 12 Rules for Life.
No,
I mean,
Oh,
we
No.
gotta.
audio book.
It's the ultimate
Yeah,
form of
there's
self-affirmation.
No,
you know what?
I-
It's gonna get the people coming out. It's gonna rack up that watch time, yo.
Do we get the audience the fucking audiobook and we just like play segments and shit?
The copyright
That's
is bad.
that's gold right there.
you know,
Ignore it.
you guys are free to like organize your own book club where you read shitty books.
Okay. It's a
Thank
shitty.
you.
It is a shitty book, but I also we shouldn't underestimate that. Like this is the idea that is popular right now, and understanding what the hell is going on, so we can dismantle it and show what's wrong with it, is a good, useful, intellectual activity. But I understand because that also would just be a horrible experience. I'm throwing the bread book in there because it's the book that everyone talks about, but no one ever actually reads.
I mean, I've read it.
Okay. I don't actually have any suggestions. I can't read. I
I have 2 suggestions.
I'm doing my best.
I have
yeah.
uh,
I'm sort of newish to a lot of reading, so I don't really have that much for book recommendations, but I do want to say I don't want to actually be the validation gang. I want that to be ironic. So I think we should be open to reading books that we may not already decide we agree with before we read them.
for sure, but
So yeah.
the
Oh no, Neil. Amusing Ourselves to Death is a very liberal book. It's I mean, if I recall correctly, I found it to be annoying the first time I read it because it was functionally useless. Like, it's basically... It's a custom reality in you, but instead of complaining about stuff that's happening in the aughts, it's complaining about stuff that happened in the 80s. At least that's how I remember it.
Yeah.
I have no opinions. I'm just gonna
So
like hopefully get better at reading. I'm in the next one now.
I have 2 books. If I can find. Okay, I can't remember what one of them was, but one that I was excited about is called Splatter Capital, and it's about the intersection of Marxism and horror movies.
Oh.
Oh.
Wow.
And the way that horror kind of acts as like a steam valve for the way that people feel anxious under capitalism.
That's.
I am like I have no film theory background, but I can try. I can give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, me neither. But to your point, Radian, it's not so much that I want this to be a group where we only read books that we've already decided we agree with. It's just that I think that it's not as though there aren't enough people talking about Jordan Peterson. Like it's like
Oh yeah.
a third of the internet is about Jordan Peterson and his work, and he gets so much attention and so much energy from the left that I think that even if we were to read like a book, like a book that we knew going into we would hate,
But
I don't
also-
think it should be that one.
But also, like, I feel like we said almost nothing about this book. Like, it was just, like, us nodding and agreeing with it for, like, an hour.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess, yeah. For me, I came to some of these conclusions and then read the book. So
I was convinced in a couple places. Like he gave me solutions when I had none, and it was wonderful and lovely.
To me, the part
Yeah, he took me beyond Pomo, probably stuck somewhere close to postmodernism, as just as like a reaction to the kind of Jordan Peterson stuff. Like I was just kind of like, let's just. But there's an optimism to this book that there's almost like a prescription in it, and then a lot of people on the left.
Yeah, and we got to like start. We got to be as leftists more into building things and building communities and being inclusive rather than either bragging about how many books we've read or just saying you belong to this group, therefore like you don't know what's going on, and like just we need to be building some sort of thing together where we embrace difference and do great things and work together as a team. And that's a thing that the left has been notoriously bad at doing.
I might start this myself. Like I want to do like leftist discussion of like fiction, like movies and books and video games. Like I think that's lacking because the left has the hottest takes on movies.
If I can make one more book suggestion.
Yeah, sure.
Let's all read Ulysses.
Whoa!
Ulysses followed by Finnegan's Wake.
Followed by Homestuck.
I actually Ernest book recommendations.
I didn't know Ernest wrote books. I thought he only made movies.
One is, and people might have heard of this one. It's called Ayn Rand and the American Right, Goddess of the Market, by Jennifer Burns.
Well, how about thoughts on? Why don't you write all these down and do a Twitter poll, and like after like a day or so, we can read whichever one you peeps out there in the audience will.
That was a joke.
Yeah, I got that.
So it was that one, and then Are We Rome by Cullen Murphy, The Fall of an Empire and the Fate of America.
Jamie J is suggesting that I wish to be the male Anita Sarkeesian, and yes, I don't know why.
Sure.
I don't know why that's surprising to you.
Okay, so and also like anyone, feel free to suggest books on Twitter. And if I don't know.
People in chat are suggesting a lot of books.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, there's enough to have the show go for ever and ever and ever.
Yeah, there's a lot of books.
if you want to do a book that is like interesting, something that we could use to talk about Peterson-esque ideas, and also break into something that we don't actually we don't necessarily agree with, would be reading something like The Hero with a Thousand Faces.
I have a copy of that.
Campbell.
Yeah, because that's
book is
one
of my favorite books.
Understanding, because like Jordan Peterson and Joseph Campbell come from a very similar intellectual tradition. They both have like that Jung-inspired idea of the collective unconscious and archetypes and stuff. So that would be an interesting way to sideline that kind of conversation and engage with ideas that we don't necessarily agree with, but is still interesting.
A Hero with a Thousand Faces is one of my favorite books.
I
Lucas too, apparently.
like of course I'm always going to prefer anything that's a bit more lightweight, like if it's too long I might not be able to finish it or like internalize it.
Well, it is likely not The Hero with a Thousand Pages.
It really like I really want this to be like a rotating group, because there were a lot of people that wanted to be part of this. That like I didn't want to have too many people, so I can't guarantee anyone's going to be on the next one. I'm really going to have to.
Okay.
If demand is big enough, then we'll see. I will obviously like let everybody know. I even think I might do fewer people than this next time, just because. I don't know. Six feels...
if it's a tough book, I can drop out for that month.
Okay.
I already talked enough for 2 shows, so.
I talked enough for about a quarter of a show.
Oh, and plus it's a big. I guess
I will get one recommendation.
Go ahead.
Oh. So this is a book. This is a book that Coffin actually recommended to me, and he also references it in the book. And I did read it, but it's pretty dense. That's why I didn't want to say it. It's Society of the Spectacle. It's shorter than Coffin's book, but it's dense. So, yeah.
All right, Discipline and Punish it is. In the original French.
Wow.
So only Tristan will read it.
Yep.
If you make me read it, I will learn French and read the damn book.
Oh man, even if you have a working knowledge of French, you're not going to be able to read that damn book.
Okay.
I will punch it until it reveals its secrets.
You will read the Macat analysis.
All right. So we got some pretty solid suggestions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anybody have any closing thoughts? Anything they didn't get to say about Custom Reality and You? I know that we probably didn't talk about the book as much as I would have liked. I understand that there is a lot of technical problems with the stream, and I definitely take ownership of that. And I'm going to try and get this worked out for next time.
And
I think we got some quality. I think we got some quality stuff in there.
There's a few gems.
I was dead weight.
No, you're very alive weight.
No, absolutely not.
I think that if I have a closing remark, it's that I think I came off as a bit as like the most anti-Peter, like Coffin person in this thing. Like I criticized the book the most, and I do want to say that because I know Peter and I have, I do have those reservations about the book, but I do think that overall it's really good, and for the purpose of giving people an into a world they haven't seen before, this is actually one of the most eloquently written and accessible ways to get into something that is notoriously difficult to get into, and I appreciate it for that.
Can I say a thing?
No.
God damn it.
No, go ahead.
So, the thing I would say is that we should be encouraging people not just to... The thing about this book is that it makes me want to write things. It has helped my own ideas about things, and it makes me want to write and express those ideas more. And I don't know if that's going to hold true for other people, but I hope it does, and I think that that's reason enough to encourage. Like, I have something I'm writing right now that just a video where I go much further than Coffin does in his book with talking about society and how bad it is. Just based on my own observations doing activism and just here in Springfield and in places like Peoria and Carlinville. Like, I'm much more harsh, but a lot of that harshness is going to be influenced by what I read. And I would hope that that would hold true for other people too. I mean, has it?
What do you mean?
I mean, like, did you read this and go, huh? You know, my ideas are kind of like this, but not exactly the same. But having them expressed in this way lets me express my own ideas much better.
Oh yeah. It enriches our understanding of our position against the other side, and it enriched for me sort of how far the ideas could go into like a constructive place, and not just everything's fucked, and
I felt like it was like a feedback loop. Like I was part of a validation gang with this book. Like it was just continuously saying things I had at the back of my mind but couldn't express in any meaningful way.
Well, like to me, reading it with the express purpose of like gathering a bunch of people who more or less agree with me to talk about it in a book club, it really drove home like not just like I was superficially aware of like how susceptible I am to some of these things, but it is a very like penetrating look at like how thoroughly like every part of our lives are cultivated in this way. And I think there was, I don't know about you guys, but there's a few times when I was reading this book where I just like, kind of like zoned out and got a little like, whoa, shit, like shit is fucked up.
And I do like my next video. It's my follow up to the Golden Calf, where I follow up on like art as a commodity and art under capitalism in that context, and I get really metaphysical about it. Like parts of this book kind of echoed things that I say in that video. Although my conclusion is that art can't be commodified because it's not a physical thing.
Watch me.
Yeah.
Challenge accepted, Taxxon.
Martial law in Quebec.
Thought Slime, notorious butt artist.
See, but that when people said the thing about the timeliness of the book, McLuhan's exactly what popped to mind. Like the medium is the message. Like that was about TV, but like the ideas are applicable today. It's just kind of like I feel like a couple of years from now, this won't necessarily be woefully outdated because he's still like whatever happens to the internet or whatever the next thing is, this will still apply because human beings are a fixed quantity,
Yeah, I did think of McLuhan a few times.
I've never read that book.
Well, you'll see the video.
I did think of McLuhan a few times, but every time I think of McLuhan, I picture that scene in Annie Hall where he gets McLuhan out to tell that guy he doesn't understand his work.
Yeah.
Like,
McLuhan is certainly more academic, more difficult to decipher. Like that book is like the kind of book that people bang against their heads, but it just kind of like in terms of the analysis and the prescience of it and all that stuff. I think that's the similarity.
We should probably signal boost Saturday while we're here too.
Oh yeah. So Tristan and I and Mexi are going to be doing a meetup in Toronto at Disgraceland on Blore. I actually have the details in the description of this live stream, so if you want to find out more, you can check it out there. It's going to be from, is it 7 or 8, Tristan?
7. I actually just made a reservation today.
Okay. Yeah, so we're going to be there at 7. We're all going to get loaded and tell you all our secrets. And if you want to come spit directly on my face, that's a good opportunity to do it.
It's true. It's really fun.
Y'all are in Canada?
Yeah, that's why I always put extra U's in things, if you've noticed.
Yeah. I'm not going to be able to come. I'm stuck here in Springfield.
That's okay, Ron. I'm going to be honest. I didn't expect you to make it out.
I could have done it. I could have gotten a bus. In fact, now I might just get a bus to spite you.
Don't pretend like you can just get a bus.
I will,
Mr. Fancy Pants over here with his bus pass.
I will bus jack a bus with my fists.
I'm always I admire people that could do, like I'm always worried about public meetups. Like there's a bunch of alt writers who have been trying to triangulate where I live for so long that like all I can visualize is somebody shooting me in the chest when I do like a meetup.
Well, that's one of the great things about living in Canada is we don't have to worry about getting shot so much.
Yeah,
I'm waiting until I get a response video until I do a meetup.
Oh shit! I just talked about guns, and everybody's going to think I'm pro gun control again.
Are you anti-gun control?
I don't really have a strong opinion either way. I see both sides of the argument, but people get really mad at me and call me a fake anarchist if I talk about it.
Oh man, you should hear what happens when I say I'm a pacifist.
Oh no. I can imagine.
For what it's worth, I'm not going to get mad at you. I
support
both sides of the argument.
I support nonviolence unless it's in self-defense, and punching Nazis is self-defense.
Yes, and it's good, clean fun.
I didn't know pacifism was a right-wing thing. Like,
I don't know.
Like, why would that piss somebody off on the left? Like, it's not a right-wing thing to be a pacifist.
I don't know. Ask Anarchist Discord.
See, yeah, but.
Well, a good litmus test to see if something's going to piss people off on the left is, does it exist? Or can it be conceived of?
Did a person say it? If so, someone will find a way to make it problematic.
Yeah.
I don't do. I haven't gotten spanked by the left yet, but you know.
I could get spanked.
The day will come where I become mainstream enough that like leftists are going to be like, guys, fucking sell out. It's not there yet.
I have ideas about society and how society should be run that other people have described as problematic. But my ideas are being revised. They're in the process of being very heavily revised.
Wait until you hear what I have to say about the Undertale soundtrack.
See, that's controversy right there.
All right, I think we have officially gotten off track.
Okay.
All right.
Basically, I feel like everyone
the sound
should
of
approach
computer
the world
farts. Fight me.
first.
All right.
I'm not. It's not the time for that.
I'm all right. I think we've about rounded things out. Thanks everybody for coming out. Everybody that watched. I'm going to be trying to do this the 15th of every month with new books and new faces. So yeah. Anybody want to plug anything?
Don't watch my channel. The content is horrible.
Check my Bandcamp. I haven't made a bad album yet.
Okay. And the URL for that Bandcamp is?
I'm going to put it in the chat.
Excellent. All right.
Go to stepbackhistory.com and watch some videos.
There it is. Dang it. It's I can't put it in because it's a web address.
Okay.
Replace the dots with dots.
And you are not modded.
Oops. Are you telling me that I fucked up something about this stream?
There it is.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining me, everybody, and have a good night.
Good night.
Mhm.
If no one minds, I'm going to get
Yes,
sloshed.
good night.
Hey,